In an unexpected turn of events, the goddess Restart, who specializes in healing magic, is tasked with rescuing an S difficulty-ranked world that's been ravaged by a rogue demon lord. To do so, she must summon a capable hero, as gods are forbidden from interfering with humans. Anyway, Restart feigns confidence in front of her fellow gods, but in reality, she's freaking the hell out, as even the most experienced gods struggle heavily with these types of worlds. Fixated on summoning a powerful hero, she struggles to pay candidate, up until she accidentally stumbles upon Saya Ryugen. Reading his stats, which are through the roof, she gets excited, thinking that she had stumbled upon a gem. Restart then quickly hurries up to summon him. Upon doing so, she gets perplexed by his dreamy looks, stating that she could fall in love for an eternity with a man like him. But she quickly gathers herself and explains that she's a goddess of healing, who summoned him here to save a world in need. Confused and creeped out, Saya calls her a freak, majorly pissing her off. Remembering that goddesses are supposed to act all dignified, she composes herself and tries to say something. But Saya cuts her off and states that if she's really a goddess, then why doesn't she just save the world by herself? A pissed-off Restart explains that gods indeed created the human world, but they're forbidden from directly interfering with them. Saya states that it's a stupid rule and they should change it, which causes Restart to get even more agitated. Remembering that Japanese people like to travel to other worlds, she opens a portal to a Gaia brand, the world that she's supposed to save, and starts hyping up Saya. Not falling for her tricks, he tells her to get lost. Restart then chases after him, but he pins her to the wall, while stating that he will not step a foot into a demon-infested world without being prepared, and that he might be willing to help her under one condition. Just before he takes off his shirt, revealing a chiseled body underneath, Restart naturally starts simping again, all while stating that love between humans and gods is forbidden, but she's shocked to find out that the dude just wants to train. His condition is not to bother him while he does so. Just then, Restart realizes that she forgot to check a very important detail, his personality type, which states that he is impossibly cautious. After seeking advice from fellow goddess Ariado, Restart decides to leave Saya alone to train. But before doing so, she barges into his room and gives him a special communication device that allows scrap that. It's basically just a phone that is shaped like her. After dreadfully waiting day after day, Saya finally manages to reach level 15. While only doing basic exercises, he shocked Restart. Seeing this, she drags him to a starter village at Gaia Brand. While there, she gets very annoyed at his apparent paranoia, as he starts suspecting everyone, including the children, going as far as to try and take them out before they can pose a threat. While at the armor shop, Saya tries to buy an absurd amount of sets, just in case they all break, forcing Restart to take charge. Frustrated and mostly fearful for everyone's safety, she takes him outside of town, all in hopes of popping his combat cherry. Upon stumbling on a basic slime, which Saya one-shot, he goes overboard, burning the entire area with explosions, just in case any fragments are still alive. Just then, and after being attracted to his magic, they are approached by a Chaos Machina, a level 66 demon, who is one of the 4 heavenly kings. She reveals that she was sent out to scout the area in order to kill Saya before he can pose a threat to the demon lord. Upon seeing her stats and rank, Saya pulls a tactical retreat, barely managing to dodge her attacks, just before they slip into a divine realm. Using a portal upon entering, Restart lands on top of Saya, creating an ideal opportunity for him. But he swiftly pushed her off and proceeded to kick her out to resume his training. A couple of days have passed since, and Restart receives a message from the Micro Bikini Demon, stating that she will execute a person every 10 minutes until they show up at the village. Hearing this, she rushes to Saya and urges him to stop training and go rescue the town folk ASAP. Saya simply tells her to relax, as they have more than enough time to act, due to time passing slowly in the divine realm. Just then, the demon chick ends up chopping someone's head off. Seeing this, Restart tries to drag Saya off, but he simply ignores her. Thinking that he's scared, she calls him a coward just before leaving. But suddenly, Saya stands up and equips his stuff, all while stating that the reason he's overly cautious is that he can't risk dying, as it will mean the total destruction of that world. Just before he smacks her on the head for calling him a coward. At the town, Saya engages the demon chick and manages to free the hostages. Surprised by his swiftness, she checks his stats, but is then surprised to see them almost double in such a short amount of time. So to counter this, she transforms into her true demonic form and tries to attack Saya once again. But to everyone's surprise, he simply tanks her attack. Realizing that something is fishy, Restart concludes that he's using some kind of fake-out ability. After some heavy squinting, she manages to get a glimpse of his true stats, which are 10 times more than his current ones. Saya then proceeds to one-shot Makina with a blazing sword just before decimating her charred remains, as he doesn't want to risk her regenerating. This also causes the entire town to burn to ashes, forcing Restart to heal the injured people. A couple of days have passed and Seiya begins to notice that his level increase has started to slow down. So he tracks down Restart, who is still complaining to Eri about him. Upon seeing him for the first time, Eri slips up for a second as she calls him fine. But she still pulls herself together and suggests she trains with a god. So Restart introduces Seiya to the divine blade god Cerseus, who tries to fool-check Seiya, but unbeknown to him, this guy is a nut job. As the days go by, Restart starts noticing that Cerseus is becoming depressed and even losing weight. On the 4th day of training, she finds Cerseus hiding as Seiya has already surpassed him, but still refuses to let him take a break. Cerseus is now so terrified that when Seiya finally catches him, he throws his sword into the ocean, all while sobbingly stating that he now hates those pointy things. But still Seiya simply drags him away. Meanwhile, Restart learns from Ishtar that in response to Chaos Makina's death, the Demon Lord plans on sending the Demon Death March in an undead army to the town of Samuel, where there are 2 warriors Ishtar and Foreseen will be their allies. Restart takes Seiya to Samuel, where they meet Mash and Lulu, 2 Dragon King descendants. At a church, and out of pure paranoia, Seiya pours some holy water on Father Marth, who is revealed to be an undead in disguise. So Seiya chops him up without even drawing his sword. He then thoroughly destroys the body with explosions, and in the process, he also destroyed the sacred church. Afterward, and especially after checking their stats, he bluntly tells National Lulu to get lost, as he's not interested in babysitting a couple of children. Sensing the approaching horde, Seiya prepares to battle them. Restart then tries to offer her assistance, but he immediately turned her down, stating that she's no more useful than a healing herb, just before flying away. Taking the rejection personally, she summoned a pair of wings and chases after him. But still she couldn't manage to keep up with his overwhelming speed. As she gets exhausted, Seiya approaches her and holds her hand, stating that she's acting like a princess. Thinking that he's flirting, Restart tries to shoot her shot by kissing him, but Seiya accelerates to supersonic speed, making her bits flap around. Well, upon arriving, he pulls a murderer on them and summons a giant meteorite that vaporizes the whole army. Still paranoid they will regenerate, he goes even further Madara and summons a second one, and completely scorched the whole area off. Upon seeing this, Restart gets excited, thinking that defeating the Demon Lord is gonna be a piece of cake. Back at the city, Seiya learns a new skill called Synthesize, so he uses it to create a powerful platinum sword using Restart's hair. Upon hearing this, she gets pissed, but he retaliates by saying since she sheds like a dying dog, it's only a fair game that he uses her hair. Just then, he learned from Lulu that Mash went missing after going to battle some monsters solo, and right on cue, a package arrives in the name of Seiya, who makes Restart to open it, just in case it explodes since she's immortal and all. After she opens it, they find a magical mirror. It's basically a FaceTime mirror. Using a Death Magla, aka one of the Demon Lord generals and the one responsible for the failed attack, reveals to them that he kidnapped Mash and plans on killing him to use his Dragon Kid blood to create an ultimate weapon. Just then, Mash screams out, stating that he's sorry that he has caused him this much trouble, and to just forget about him as it's too dangerous here. Impressed by his heroism, Seiya tells him that he's in need of some couriers to handle his equipment, just before cutting literal space with his goddess sword. This in turn resulted in Death Magla losing his hand, which gave them enough time to travel to the Divine Realm, where they meet God or the head god of the Divine Realm. Since Restart doesn't know the physical location of Mash, Seiya tells Granny Goddess to bust out a portal, making Restart freak out because of how casually he's talking to her. Impressed by his confidence, she grants his wish. Upon arriving, Restart frees Mash while Seiya engages Death Magla, who summons Dark Furious, a bodiless, undefeatable creature of the night. Cocky Death Magla then taught Seiya by revealing his weakness. As it turned out, you need to hit it with a tuned physical attack that allows the monster to gain physical properties. Then you would have to get past its impenetrable defenses to deal damage, which sounds impossible, but not to Seiya, as he punishes the beast with a tuned attack, then turned it to ice, using a special bracelet made from Restart's hair. He then attacks the beast using fire magic and effortlessly kills it, just before he turns his attention to Death Magla, who starts sweating his balls as Seiya is getting ready to burn him alive. Back at the city, Mash begs Seiya to be his apprentice, to which he accepts under one condition, which is to carry his stuff. Mash then offers to take Seiya to the Dragon's Den, but Seiya wants to head out to the Divine Realm first. There, Seiya tracks down Cerseus, who became a cook, thanks to the trauma Seiya inflicted on him. Seiya starts talking about training, which seems to give Cerseus PTSD again. But as soon as he states that he won't be training with him, Cerseus pipes up in excitement, stating that after they're done, his little muscles will have muscles of their own. while Lulu is sent to train with Hestiaka, the goddess of fire. Moments later, Restart accidentally bumps into Valkyrie, the goddess of destruction, the strongest god in the divine realm. Noticing how powerful she is, Saya calls her Jane Canyon and tells her to train him. Valkyrie gets royally pissed at his comment and was about to pick a fight. But thanks to Ariado's interference, she manages to smooth things out. She then arranges for him to train with Adanella, the goddess of war. After meeting her for the first time, he bluntly remarks that she disgusts him, which in turn made her laugh. After 3 days of training, Mash has tremendously improved, while Lulu's training has mostly failed due to her having no affinity for flame magic. Meanwhile, Adanella falls versus going as far to do a complete makeover in hope of seducing him. This in turn creeped Restart the hell out, stating that if he slays demon lords like he slays goddesses, they would have been done already. As the party is about to leave, Adanella sweetly asks Sylvia if she can come with him, to which Sia bluntly rejects the offer. This in turn sent her on a rampaging tantrum across the divine realm. When they finally arrive at the dragon village, they are met by Legos, who escorts them to see Levier, the great mother of dragons. Levier shows Mash how to transform into a dragon, when Lulu asks Levier to show her how to transform as well. She tells her that her destiny is to become the mighty weapon, Exation, the only sword in the world that can slay the demon lord. Levier further explains that the only way the sword can be obtained is when a female dragonkin of human appearance offers her life to the pit of the abyss. When Mash protests, Levier reveals that the demon lord's forces control 70% of Gaia Brand, and as they're speaking, countless lives are lost every single day. Just before she encourages Lulu to save them from this nightmare, Lulu then turns to Saya for guidance, who tells her that she has to do what she has to do, and that you shouldn't spell it out for her, while Restart is torn about this moral dilemma. Later that night, Levier throws a feast prior to conducting the sacred sword ceremony. Restart, Saya, and Mash are enjoying the feast, up until some lizard kids offer them cookies that they've made. Just then, Lulu starts having second thoughts, prompting Mash to act up. In a flash, Saya rescues Lulu from the 2 lizard guards who are trying to throw her down, stating that her job is to carry his stuff and not turn into some stupid sword. Mash tries to assist Saya, but he ends up flopping to the ground, revealing that Levier had anticipated that something like this might happen. So she laced the cookies they ate with a paralytic so powerful that it even works on gods. However, Saya being the epitome of paranoia, he only pretended to eat it. Explaining why the drug did not work on him, seeing no other way, Levier transforms into a dragon and confronts Saya, who casually pulls out a dragon-slaying sword, revealing that he had crafted it using 100 of Rista's hairs, prompting her to freak out. Levier then activates her ultimate defense skill, turning into a golden dragon, then places a curse on Lulu, stating that she has 5 minutes to live. The pit only needs her flesh and blood. Saya gives her one last warning just before he pulls out his second dragon slayer and starts repeatedly slashing at her. At first, it appears that she is winning, until she notices that she's about to fall into the abyss. Seeing this, she surrenders just before she tries to backstab Saya and fly away. But to her shock, Saya had been targeting her wings the whole time. After this, she falls into the abyss, the curse is lifted, and a magical sword appears, revealing that the queen had some divine Dragonkin blood. Saya reassures everyone that this is what the queen wanted and to not worry, as he promises he will defeat the demon lord. Once the party leaves the village, Saya admits to Restart that the sword he acquired is not the Exation, but a mere replica made out of synthesis. On the way out, they are confronted by a group of knights. Well, that's all for today. Boys and girls, make sure to subscribe as part 2 will be coming out shortly. But in the meantime, check out our videos on screen. Thank you.